Zoolander.
Savvy knows some Zoolander stuff now.
Yeah.
We're bringing her on the movie tour, trying to get her more educated.
Yeah. Were you not a movie person before?
I'm a movie repeater.
Okay.
Like, I've seen Surf's Up like 50 million times.
It's pretty impressive. So my favorite story to tell with people is it's like probably her all-time favorite movie.
Yeah.
And it's like her comfort movie. So like if she's like having was having panic attacks or a lot, whatever, or just can't sleep, that's what she turns on to fall asleep.
Surf's Up.
Yeah.
And
what is Surf's Up? I've never seen it.
It's the penguins surfing.
Okay.
You've never seen that?
No.
That's
okay.
like
I've seen Happy Feet.
No.
Down with Happy Feet.
So they got like Rob Machado, Kelly Slater, and they're like animated penguins, and like they're doing like it's like a surf competition.
Oh, what a cast! Kelly Slater and Rob Machado.
Yeah.
You would. Shia LaBeouf is the main character.
What a cast!
You gotta watch it. You would love it.
Awesome.
All-star cast.
Yeah.
Because she literally can quote the entire movie, like turned around, not facing the screen, eyes closed, reciting word for word this movie, and then it's like to a T. It's her comfort movie, so if she's trying to do it to fall asleep, there is an exact point in the movie where I know I can turn the TV off because she falls asleep every single time. It's in like a 5-minute gap, and it's every single time. To a T.
That's how we were with Friends growing up. Yeah. So we had all 10 seasons on DVD.
Oh my gosh.
Because me and my brothers, we were all in high school at the same time at one point.
Yeah.
And so we would come home, and we got off school at 3:00. We all had basketball practice at 5:00. So we'd come back and we watch 2 episodes of Friends, and then we'd go back to practice, and then we'd come home, we'd have dinner,
so awesome.
And then we watch 2 more episodes of Friends, and that was our day.
That's so awesome.
And so me and my little brother, some people, the way their brains work are movie quote brains.
Yep.
And that's how
Troy Fields of the world.
Yeah, Troy.
Yeah,
Troy is
the craziest.
He's a high seed. Him, Adam Roberts is good. Nick Lucena can drop a good move. Yeah, Mesco. Yeah, but so their era, I talk about this because we're all hang out with Mesco a fair amount. It's like before 1990, they crushed it. Like, you don't know that? I'm like, nah, man.
Mesco is probably one of the more well-rounded ones out of that. Like, he the other day we were listening to a song in the car, and he goes, "Name that movie," and I was like, "What?" He's like, Madagascar 3? And I was like, Mesco, how do you know Madagascar 3?
Madagascar 3. No, we were in the restaurant, and it came on. It was like a cover of some song, and he's like...
It was that Firework by Katy Perry.
Yeah, so of course, I said the interview. I'm like, that's from the interview, where they're singing that when it's just the funniest scene ever. But then he's like, yeah, Madagascar 3. We're like, what? I don't even know if we've seen that. Mesco.
That's awesome. Great. He's that's pretty well rounded.
Yeah.
If he's hitting you with Madagascar 3, I'm sure on your guys' drive to Yosemite, it was just 6 hours of
6 hours of the movie song game.
But it was so fun.
Kyle Friend and I were going back and forth at it, and then every once in a while, Timmy or Savvy would chime in.
I had the Disney movies down.
Okay.
If she could beat me to it.
Down. I did on a lot of them.
You had a lot of is actually DreamWorks, like the Ice Ages and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Shrek.
Cars.
Huge. First little beat, first little tune, Savvy's like, Cars. And we're like, the song's not even playing.
Oh, yeah.
It was impressive.
That's how Delaney's like that with, she doesn't watch any movies. She can only quote Nacho Libre. That is it.
Chancho.
And so Nacho Libre and Despicable Me. That is the scope of Delaney's movie knowledge. She just doesn't get movies.
Yeah.
And I love movies.
Yeah.
Did you guys, I always wonder what people do on the road. Because a lot of players will take the most of their downtime and they'll just crush movies.
We crushed
or they'll
movies.
Explore. What did you guys do?
So this is perfect place to start off Team Double Date.
Yeah.
So in Dominican, we in all of our free time, we had Jake and Russ just come up to our hotel.
Oh, Jake is a movie guy.
Oh, yeah.
So we were watching all of the late 2000s, early 2010s, the Will Ferrell era of just Step Brothers, all these different types of movies, White Chicks, all of these classic comedies that you think of
it's
in
a
that
golden era of our generation of comedy.
Yeah,
so
and she hadn't seen a bunch, Abby hadn't seen a bunch, so it was back and forth. It was oh, Abby hasn't seen this one, so we're gonna watch this one. Oh, Savvy hasn't seen this one, we're gonna watch it. And any time in between games, because we had we were in the same pool. So
okay, the same schedule.
Same schedule, and so we were just crushing comedies.
That's awesome. And one of my favorite parts about that is that you not only did you spend that much time with Jake and Russ off the court, you played them twice, and you played them in the finals. Yes. Which Norseca, good on Norseca for putting together a great stream, because I was able to watch. Like I had, because you were streaming, but sometimes it cut in and out, and then Norseca's stream was pretty great.
Multiple camera view. Like I think there was an announcer at some point
in the Dominican.
Wow.
So there was an announcer, and I had no idea what he was saying because it was Spanish. But he was awesome.
On fire.
Spanish announcers are so much better.
Oh, yeah.
Than American. They're so excited.
They get so hype. Yeah, they get so
It's
hype.
like every single point is like in soccer when they get a goal. And he's like, goal! And then like they're just like scream something for like in a prolonged period of time.
So
like
amazing.
Mexico, Norseca, like... I mean, we played against Mexico, and I was kind of excited when Mexico scored points.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, this guy gets the crowd so hype.
Yeah, and so you had like... You got that, and then the Dominican team was actually good.
Solid, yeah.
Which I was surprised. It was like, I was like watching them warm up, and I was like, this is like one of those teams where you watch them warm up, and you're like, we're fine. They're going to bounce some balls. We're going to get dunked on, but we're going to win. And then it gets to 17-17, and you're like, damn it. How do we beat these guys?
Yeah. Timmy and Kyle had a battle with them.
So I watched that one for bronze.
They had a battle with their second team, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're in pool play.
Yeah. Norseca. It's getting a little deeper.
Yeah.
Sega.
The Caribbean is finally picking their game
Get there,
up.
yeah. But you've had a decent start to the season. I feel like you've come in like rejuvenated. Because you had a great rookie season. Well, kind of, you had like the fake rookie season that was 2021 that you and Logan like won everything, in which like I would call that a professional season because you made a fair amount of money. Because that was when like those AVP Next Golds and Tour Series were pretty solid.
Yeah, we were making like $3,000 each, I think, for first in those, which is like pretty solid.
Yeah,
there's pretty solid competition. I mean, like each of those had 4 or 5 main draw teams in it. And it's like, you know, teams that didn't make like Billy Allen and Andy didn't make a final of one of those.
Yeah,
like that's a legit team.
That's a great team.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you had that, and then you kind of extended that into a really big 2022 season. And I feel like last year, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, was like a little sophomore slumpy. And then now I feel like you're like rejuvenated and back. And I'm curious what this offseason looked like for you, just in terms of the mental, the physical, to get you where you are now. Because I think you're playing the best volleyball I've ever seen you play.
Yeah, I think last year was super interesting for me. Because I think I need to touch on that in order to like get to why and how it's all going.
Yeah.
You know, I think if you look at the results, it actually wasn't really a slump. It was more of actually just the same from the year before, which is crazy. Like you think it's so terrible, and then it was actually like, you know, it wasn't that terrible. Like it just, you expect like at this stage of your career to continuously get better. So you're expecting better results every year. And last year, it didn't really feel like I ever got into like a groove or a rhythm. You know, went through a couple different partners. Logan and I had like, I think, pretty high expectations to start 2022. We started working with Scott.
Scott Davenport.
Yeah. So, you know, somebody who's super experienced and knowledgeable in the area. Logan and I were like, we're team number 6 or 5 at that point, 5 or 6 in the U.S. By points. So we're like, it's an outside shot, but it's not like too crazy to think like try and make a run for the Olympics at that point, especially a younger team if they can get hot. And then we were not.
Not hot.
And I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and it was really tough, you know, as a partnership, as a friendship. Logan and I we had that like come back together, really hot start back at the back end of 2022, almost medal at a challenger. So, you know, the expectation is there that you're going to perform, and you know, the first 4 or 5 months of the season, you don't perform. And so it starts feeling like things are falling apart. Didn't really feel like we were quite clicking with like our system with Scott. And then, you know, it felt like we were kind of separating apart, Logan and I. So it kind of made sense at that point to go separate ways, at least in my head. Looking back at it now and looking at like how partnerships are really formed, like I feel like it probably would have been better to stick around for a little while longer and, you know, go through those trials and tribulations. But it's great, one, to see him back in like a great headspace and he's playing good volleyball again. And, you know, maybe took a little bit longer for me, but feel like I'm back in that same headspace. And then you go into middle of the season, you got like a month to figure out stuff with your new partner, with Troy. So get together with Troy, and it just didn't feel like we had enough time to fully get together, create that team, get the coach involved to where we were running a system. So it felt like Troy and I were just always kind of piecing something together. And, you know, I feel like Troy was going through this weird period of what he wanted out of volleyball, and I think I kind of was the non-beneficiary of that. I think we're both incredibly talented volleyball players, but it was like a weird period of like he wasn't really sure where he wanted to be with volleyball, like how much is he pursuing it, and then, you know, it just kind of didn't all click ever, and so that just kind of created that weird part at the end of the season. But I mean, we take a 7th in Atlanta and then a 7th in Chicago. So I mean, 2 7ths in a Gold Series is pretty solid.
Pretty dang good, yeah.
And I mean, we lost to Taylor and Taylor in both of them, so it's not like you're losing to a bad team or anything like that. So it just kind of never felt like there was never like this trajectory of a season. It kind of felt like you would start climbing and then just rock slide right back down. And so like getting knocked down a couple times, and then also living out here for a more prolonged period, I also felt like that like transition to being like in California more was tough on me. Finding who I wanted to be out here, what I wanted to be, who I wanted to be around, narrowing down those people and things like that was really tough. And then also, I feel like one of the things that made me really good in the beginning and what's going to continue to make me good is how unique I am. You know, I'm not the typical person from California. I'm not going to play that typical style, to be a little bit more rowdy. I'm going to be, you know, a little bit more aggressive and take more chances. Whereas like, I felt like last year in the system with Scott, it was all about being smart and not taking chances and not taking these risks, which I feel like that's where I get to be where I can separate myself, because I do take risks. Sometimes I fall on my face, but most of the time, like, it gives me a little bit of a boost.
Right.
So, finding my identity as a player, as a person out here, it felt like last year was a very big, like, figuring out year. And then this off season, a lot of like looking back on that season, you know, talking to Joey Keener a lot, talking, and then getting you involved in January was such a huge thing.
Coach Trav.
I think one of the biggest things for me as a player is having a coach that feels super invested and is like going to be like your biggest supporter in those moments where like you might have a little bit of self-doubt.
Yeah.
Because that's going to creep in at some point in volleyball. So having that system and those people around you, that no matter where you're at in volleyball, like you have the support system, that you're not going to only rely on volleyball for your confidence, I think was a huge thing. And then also obviously, you know, your book recommendation of The Confident Mind, that was a huge help to me, as far as getting my mind in the right place and not faltering in those moments when maybe volleyball isn't going the best. Because, you know, there's obviously so many exercises in that book, and even just doing, I think I do 3 of them pretty much daily, and having those 3 daily exercises to fall back on and to really keep the confidence high has been a huge game changer for me. And being able to do it my way, I think, is the biggest look back on this off season. And if I had to describe it, it'd be, I'm doing it my way now. You know, obviously we're collaborating. You're like a little bit more of the brains behind, oh, what are we going to do at practice? But it's like, hey, Travis, this is what I am struggling with, or this is what I want to add to my game. And then, like, you can game plan around that versus, like, Scott was telling us last year, like, this is what you need to do better.
Pretty top down.
Yeah, and so I didn't feel like I had ownership of my game and of where, like, I was heading. So I think that was a huge difference between last year and this year.
Yeah, I think I feel like that goes across a lot of industries. So, like, I use writing as an example, and even commentating. So when you start writing, you basically find a writer that you really like, you read all their stuff, and then you do really bad imitations of that writing. Then you find another writer and you really like their stuff, and you read all of it, and then you do really bad imitations of that. But you also sort of took a couple elements of this, and you just keep repeating that ad infinitum, and eventually you find your own voice and you start writing your own way. And you become infinitely better because it's your own style. You're not trying to copy anything else. And I feel like with young athletes, especially when you make a move out to California and they're like, okay, well, everyone does it this way. I got to do it that way. And now I'm going to be a professional. I need to do it this way. And like you said, I think the way that you play is such an embodiment of the beach volleyball spirit. Like, it's a little rogue, it's a little untamed, it's fun, and it's like big energy. And then you have, I think we're getting almost too professional and kind of like dressed down. Like, let's got a little life to it. And so I think once you just start playing,
just throw a little blue paint on the nose.
Yeah, throw some blue paint on the nose, start yelling stuff, have some fun, flex to the crowd. Yeah, and if it's natural, I think that's going to allow you to play, maximize your abilities. And that's cool that you're sort of discovering that, because I feel like if you look at any sport, I feel like so many athletes go through exactly what you just went through. And some people, it takes them 5-6 years to figure it out. They're like, oh, if I just play like me, but a better version of me, then I'm going to be pretty good. Yeah. It's working out pretty well for you.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, obviously talking about you, but I think also, like, you're in the group chat with it all, but I think a huge thing for me this year was surrounding myself, like I said, with that team, and not just on the court, but, you know, strength and conditioning, nutrition, PT. There's so much that is, like, layered and involved in it, and having people that are all behind you and, like, all working towards that same goal of reaching. I mean, there's not, like, a particular goal of, like, winning something or whatever. It's more of like the process of getting better every day, and having people that are just committed to, like, helping you get better every day in any way that you can. It makes such a big difference. And I think that was another thing I realized of, like, part of being a professional is, like, if you really get that team behind you and, you know, what is that 1 or 2% of, like, that specific area of someone's expertise that is going to help you out has made a huge difference.
Yeah. Well, so who else is on your team?
Yeah, so, like, strength and conditioning, I have, his name's Greg Herchek. He's the volleyball strength coach on Instagram. You probably see a lot of him. He's kind of one of the more viral volleyball guys. But he's been really great as far as personalizing things for me. And, you know, once a week or so, he'll check in, just make sure body's good. Every single week, he just rewrites the program of what that's going to look like. You know, we planned out the entire off season of what it should look like, and it feels like it's gone, like, perfectly of how it should. He's been on board for anything as far as, you know, we talk about deload weeks, and it feels like those have gone perfectly to where, you know, I don't necessarily want to be in the gym crushing it, but I still need to be moving and still need to probably be pushing a little bit of weight so that if that next week I come back, I'm not, like, renewing and trying to refigure. Like, I feel like if you
and
take
you're sore for the whole week.
Yeah, you take that week or two off of lifting, and then it's just like, have I ever lifted before?
Right.
Like, my body hurts so bad.
Yeah.
And then to go into my body hurting bad, nutrition wise, I worked with Root and Fruit Nutrition. Her name's Sarah Amadon. She's in Indiana, and it's really cool. I've always, like, I thought about it a lot, and I was like, I feel like I need to do this at some point. But she basically takes, like, your genetics. So you take, like, a cheek swab of your and then you get your DNA results back, and she knows all about nutrition, knows all about, like, the genetics behind that. And so she basically is like, hey, for me, like my body is super pro-inflammatory. So we need to focus on things that are like not pro-inflammatory as far as food goes. And then also my body is not good at getting rid of inflammation. So it's like I got like the double dose of like,
Good.
Yikes. Okay, so my body inflames very easily, and then it also is terrible at getting rid of it. So that is interesting. So, planning on actually having those recovery times built in, and what kind of foods can I eat to help do that, and what kind of, we have a small supplement stack of things of like every day. Well, this is what we're going to take to try and help keep that at bay. And okay, maybe on a competition day, you take a little bit of extra of this versus this, and you try. And for me, I found out that before tournaments, if I can eat fish, like that's when my body feels best.
Fish?
Yeah.
Really?
So fish are super heavy, obviously, in omega-3s, which everyone knows, but most people don't know that omega-3s are actually like pretty anti-inflammatory.
Huh.
So going into a tournament, like my body feels the best when I can do that.
Any specific kind?
More sushi. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm
You just going down to Just Pokey before tournaments and loading up.
Sounds good to me.
Trader Joe's has the $8.99 wild caught tuna. It's in the frozen section. It's two tuna steaks for $9.
That's not bad.
Super good deal.
Yeah.
So try to do that a lot. Salmon. Salmon on the road is probably the go-to, because I feel like a lot of places have salmon. It's pretty safe.
Yeah.
I'm always sketchy about seafood being from Louisiana. I'm always like, I don't know if I trust the seafood in the middle of Wisconsin.
Well, at least, so A-Rob has a hilarious rule where when we were in, it's funny you say Wisconsin, we were playing with Wapaka.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
And we were looking at places to get dinner. And I was like, oh, there's this sushi spot. And he goes, Trav, where's the nearest body of water? To Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I was like, I don't know. He goes, me neither. That means that sushi is not going to be too fresh, buddy. The good thing about beach volleyball, though, is we always travel. We tend to travel along the water.
Yeah.
And so when you get seafood, it's usually going to be pretty darn fresh. Mm-hmm. But that's interesting. I was always a big red meat guy before tournaments. And I think, is fish heavy enough? Like, do you feel like you got enough energy throughout the day?
Yeah, I either go fish or red meat.
Okay.
I actually have gone away from like the typical. I feel like most people are like carb load, like chicken pasta.
Yeah, me.
I like try and stay away from that.
I feel like that's like been found out. Like, I feel like that was kind of a lie for a long time, right? It's like the food pyramid got flipped upside down, basically.
So it's like, for me, looking at it, I was like, so you're telling me to eat this thing that is full of gluten, which is super pro-inflammatory.
Right.
So my joints are going to feel like crap going into the tournament. I think I'm going to pass.
Yeah. Yeah, I always tried to get my carbs, speaking of Trader Joe's, like the dried fruit. Mm-hmm. Oh, I just crush mangoes throughout the day.
Those are
bananas,
so good.
like the little apple rings. Oh, so good.
So good.
I go all carbs during tournament days, gummy bears.
Gummy
bears are the go-to.
That's how you know when you're in the weight room and someone's like a pretty legit weightlifter, when they're just like crushing gummy bears in between lifts, and like, that guy gets it. He knows what he's doing.
So if you catch me in any single timeout at a tournament, it's just like a little pinch of gummy bears.
What else? So aside from gummy bears and wild caught tuna, what else? What have you taken out of the diet for the most part, and what have you added in to be anti-inflammatory? Because I feel like that's a big. Everyone's trying to be less inflamed for the most part.
No alcohol.
Yeah, I was gonna say, beginning of this year, we talk about like the change of mindset and the way that like things are being approached. Sav and I, along with a group from Louisiana, I gotta shout them out. It was Joey, Joey Keener, Ryan Ierna, Alex Mortimer, Ian Bicco. Am I missing anybody else? I feel like we had a couple other guys. I think Richie Dietrich. Mm-hmm. But we had a group about like 6 or 7 of us. We went and visited New Orleans beginning of off season and kind of joked about it. And all the guys were like kind of fired up about it. We're like, oh, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
So January 1 hit, and, I think as far as getting in the right mindset for season and getting into a good place of really, body feels good, mind feels good. It was the best thing that we could have ever done. So we cut out gluten, sugar, and alcohol from our diet, which all of that is
Sugar
inflammation.
or added sugar?
Like added
Added
sugar.
sugars.
So like anything like
sugars.
processed sugar is pretty much was cut out.
So you're good with a banana. Or you're
Yeah,
not good
all
with,
fruits.
Like,
crushed
We
smoothies.
crushed some
Okay.
fruits.
Crushed smoothies.
Throughout the diet. I mean, any kind of dessert we could get, like load up the fruit.
Yeah.
Load up the dark chocolate.
Yeah. There
you
And
go.
then it's funny how much like things get like sweet. Like fruit is so sweet if you do not eat processed
Oh
sugar.
my gosh.
Yeah.
It's like so delicious.
Yeah.
And then you add processed sugar back. It's funny.
It tastes
We were-
awful.
we were drinking like tart cherry juice and like some soda water with like a lime, like some lime or like some vanilla extract, like these things like where it's like you're not getting like super sweet. And like Sav now is like she goes and drinks that same drink and you've added a little bit of processed sugar back and you're like, this is not sweet at all compared to like, I mean that art, like even like art, like anything artificial sugar, it's just so sweet. But as far as inflammation goes, that was a huge difference. Like my body would feel, I mean, obviously was like working really hard. So there's some times where I'm like sore and stuff, but as far as like inflammation and things go, like probably the best I've felt since before college and playing indoor, because indoor just wrecks your body.
Yeah.
The
And when
only
you're in high
thing-
school, it just doesn't even count.
No.
You're-
The only thing he ever craved, like every night I was like, I want ice cream, I want wine, I want all these things. The only thing he ever craved, which was only a couple of times the entire 75 days, was fried chicken.
True
It's the
Southern
only-
boy.
That's the only
True
thing he
Southern boy.
really was like, okay,
Where's my Popeyes?
I could do with some Popeyes right now. That was like his craving.
What was the first post 75 hard? Did you just go
Oh, man.
crush something?
Yeah, day 76. Day 76
So
was a
stupid.
nightmare.
So stupid.
Anything that you could not have done on the diet, I did it.
Just smashed it.
Yeah,
Went
so-
way off the rails.
So we
Yes.
started the day off. I ordered us sidecar donuts.
Okay.
So all the gluten, all the sugar that you could
Yeah.
get.
He was like, Savvy, I ordered his breakfast. I'm thinking like some burritos or something. We slept in. I'm going to Brazil the next day. So I was like, I don't really want to get off the 75 hard. I'm kind of nervous. I didn't know how my body was going to react because I
Right.
felt so good. So I got us breakfast. I'm like, perfect. Maybe some pancakes. Maybe. Just 6 massive sidecar donuts. I'm like, that's it? That's all you got?
Savvy only was able to eat one. She's like, it's too sweet
Too
for me.
sweet.
So what do? I crushed the other 5.
Crushed all of them.
Boy.
Crushed all of them.
Lunch was pretty chill. We just went to Martha's, got like a breakfast burrito, like 1 or 2 drinks. But then continued to have some more drinks on the beach. Started to have too many drinks. Had a night. Savvy was not happy with me because she was leaving from
I
Brazil
wanted
that
to
night.
kill him.
She was like, "You are way too out of hand right now."
Well, my mom came up and we were going to go to Frito Misto, and then I was flying out of San Diego, so it was a little bit cheaper. So she drove up. We watched the East meets West tournament. UCLA was playing. We go to 21st. They're playing. They had like it was St. Patrick's Day.
It was like a
They were having a
forest
little
tournament.
forest tournament. So I have like a half a mimosa at Martha's. I'm like, that's enough for me. Him and my buddy, our buddy, they were drinking beers, and he kept drinking whatever. So we're going home. We had about an hour and a half until we were gonna go to dinner, and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to the beach for a little bit, right on 7th Street, right where we live." And he's like, "I'm gonna go to the beach. There's a couple people out there." I'm like, "Okay." Like, he was pretty drunk. I'm like, "Okay, just come back in a reason. We're going to dinner in like an hour and a half." So I'm finishing packing. My mom's just chilling, and I'm looking at the time. We're gonna go to dinner at 5:30. It's like 5 o'clock. I'm like, "Hey, time to come home. Like, time to get ready for dinner." 5:10, 5:15, 5:20. I'm like, I keep checking his location, and I'm starting to get like, as each minute passes and he's not walking in, I'm getting pissed because I was being very cool with like, okay, I never said like, hey, I'm leaving I wasn't gonna see him for 2 weeks, so I was like, I'd love to like spend some time with you, but I was being the cool, chill girlfriend, whatever. And then I was not the cool, chill girlfriend in a matter of 10 minutes. I was furious. So I have to walk out onto the beach because I just know he does his phone. He's just so drunk. He doesn't have his phone. And I walk out there and he's playing volleyball. They're playing ace or something. I'm like, and I storm out there and it's people we know. And they're like, Savvy's here. They're all drunk too. And I was like in tears. I was so mad. I was in tears. I'm like, Evan, because my mom's here too, and I'm like, Evan, we're going to dinner. He's like, what? Let's play.
Yeah, they're like giving me like pulls of Captain Morgan straight, and I was like, oh.
No.
I'm getting like college flashbacks
Oh, yeah, no.
about Captain
So
Morgan.
I'm like, we're going to dinner. And I'm storming back to the house because we live across the street. And he's like a little sad puppy pushing his bike back to the house. And I was like, you're not coming to dinner. Because we're going to a public restaurant. And he is just belligerent. I'm like, he really took this 75 hard, like being done with 75 hard very seriously.
He went 76 real hard.
He went hard.
And then I crushed some Popeyes that night.
Yeah, Popeyes.
Boy.
So it was, he got the full experience. It was funny.
And then my body paid for it the next day.
Yeah. The next day he's like, I'm never drinking again.
Yeah.
That typical, like, never again.
The standard.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder what the average amount of retirements everyone has from drinking.
Oh, yeah.
In college, I gave up drinking every weekend.
Every weekend.
Yeah.
And then you drink that same night. You're like, I'm never drinking again. And the little hair
5
of the
o'clock
dog.
rolls around, you
Yep.
had a nap.
Yep.
Like, oh, okay,
Like,
we
we're
can
good.
I can do another.
We're back. We're back. But he is, like, when he decides to drink, he drinks. Like, that is, like, he's either no drinking or, like, he is drinking. Like, there's no in between. But he really is this most disciplined person I've ever met. Like, through all this, I mean, I've been with him for 2.5 years. We've been living together for 2 years now. And it's like he hasn't done, like, all that much. I mean, you've been so disciplined the whole time. I think he's added a lot more biking in the sauna, like things like that he's kind of implemented. But I think the biggest improvement for his game was definitely like just being himself again. I think that's the biggest thing because like obviously we did the 75 hard, but like when we're in season, like he kind of naturally does it himself.
Right.
He's pretty dialed with all of his stuff, and it's honestly impressive and makes me feel really shitty because I'm like not that disciplined. I like want to have In-N-Out and drink wine and do all these things, but I think the biggest thing was just like being yourself and talking shit. That's the go-to. He needed to bring that back. It's kind of cringy for me, but it works, so I support it.
I remember when me and Evan, I feel like we played each other in NORCECA qualifiers like every time.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing Sav because I'd pull or something and he'd bounce to it and he'd be like, "Come on, Travi," like and Savvy goes, "Be nice, be nice."
He'd say it to you way more rude than that, and I was like, "No, not Travis. Don't say that to Travis."
But when you're friends, like you can cross, you can push things further, especially because like Evan is the only person who has known me before volleyball, really.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
I've known you since you were what, like 16, probably?
Something like that.
Yeah.
15, 16 years
That's
old.
10 years.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, basically brothers at that point.
Yeah.
Where you can say whatever you want, and then like 2 minutes later, game's over. Like, oh, that was really fun.
Girls are just so different. I get it now, but
I mean, and also like you've also been to like Louisiana and stuff now. Like I don't know, in the South, it's different. Like like you go to those you go to those tournaments, and I mean, there's very few things that can be said that like cross the line.
Right.
There's only a few times where like I've actually had like issues with people like, hey, that was too far. Like, you need to calm down. Like after the game, I was like, that wasn't cool.
Yeah.
And for the most part, like I think as long as like you keep like the stuff on the court, like we're all competing out there. I think that's like, I don't know, it's a part of the game. You go and look at every other sport, it's in some fashion a part of the game for the most part. And as long as you're not crossing like personal boundaries, like bringing people's families or something into it,
right,
or bringing like super personal things up that like, like I would know because I'm really close to someone, then like you're fine. And I think that's always like how I grew up. I mean, like Derek Zimmerman and like Andre and like there's like guys that like you're going up and like like, and even Joey, like there's like guys that you're going and like listening to at like 15, 16 years old. Like I probably shouldn't be hearing these things till I'm 21, but right. I'm gonna hear. And that was like kind of how I learned how to play the game, and there was never an issue. And I think sometimes that like it gets crossed that like it's disrespectful towards people, but I think as long as it's within like reason, it's a part of the game, and it should be encouraged. Like you're talking about, like it's getting a little too business. Like I think it should be encouraged. Like you look at guys that like Trevor and try, and like there's people that are going to get a little bit in your face. Like that's a good thing. And then like Taylor, you might not ever start something, but like if you wake that beast.
Oh man, don't wake up, bug. Don't wake up the bug.
No.
Yeah, he will transform into something you don't want to see, and so I think like that needs to happen more, like in just from, but like learning in that like environment, it was so much more fun that way. Like you get so much more invested in that game. It feels like there's a little bit extra on the line there.
And it's like there's
pride.
there's a gravity to it. Like everyone starts to feel that energy. And they're like, there's something going on over there. Like Evan and Brad Connors are yelling a lot. We're gonna go watch that.
Shout out Brad Connors.
They're on the same team. This is weird.
That's what I think. I think that especially goes for the international. Because it's weird, like you have to travel around with everyone. I get like, and it sounds ridiculous coming from me that people should like be a little bit more, I don't know, not caustic towards each other, but just like talk a little trash, bring a little energy to it if it's genuine. Because I loved watching Lithuania versus Portugal.
That game was insane.
It was awesome. And afterwards, like Stankovic, and I don't know which of the Portuguese guys was blocking, whether it was Pedrosa or Campos, but they kind of got into it after. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, I am into this match because there's some tension going on. And then afterwards, they were totally fine after the match wore off. But that match was so much more compelling because there was a little bit of friction on the court.
Yep.
And it was genuine. Like, it wasn't made up. And that's what I think Trevor's great at it. Because I think Trevor does it because he's kind of bored. And he's like, I want to get excited about volleyball again, so I'm just going to, like, start saying stuff.
But, like, that's where the one issue, like, because, like, I think there was for a second, like, watching that match, there was, like, some tension after the game of, like, them, like, being, like, they weren't okay with it. And, like, I don't know. For me, once that last whistle blows, it's all respect. Like, you were both out there a long time ago. You talked to me about the man in the arena, right? And so like we are all like marred by sweat and dust, and you know, like we are all out there like battling and working as hard as we can to get the win. And after like that, as long as, you know, like I said, there's no below the belt things going on, like it should be all respect. Like, and I've had that happen a couple times, and you know, people are like, take it personally, and I think that if you're taking that personally, you maybe need to like go look at yourself in the mirror and like, you know, maybe you should stop taking yourself a little too seriously. Right.
Just like, why did that make you so angry?
Yeah.
It's like, it wasn't a great idea to pull on an open net.
Just had to remind you.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So I think, but you also, and it is objectively better for the crowd. The matches that get the most people around, especially if it's a side court in Manhattan or Hermosa, there's a little chatter, there's a little friction between teams. There's this gravity. People just go to it. And I love it. I hope we see more of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you have kind of an interesting couple weeks coming up. So you guys leave for gosh, I forget the order. You've told me 100 times. Cuba first. Then you go to the Dominican. And that's with Wyatt Harrison. Mm-hmm. Are you going to both with Abby?
We're going just to Cuba.
Okay, just to Cuba. But then you have, I don't want to say a partner upgrade coming because that's a disrespect to Wyatt, but you have an incredible partner.
As far as accolades go, right. An upgrade. As far as accolades go, because, you know, being able to pick up a storied person in the history of beach volleyball is always really cool if you have the opportunity to. And you know, for a lot of people, if they had a choice.
So who are you playing with?
Well, I was going to get to it.
Oh, there you go. Sorry, I interrupted your storytelling.
He's building it up.
Yeah, build up.
You know, they had their choice. You get like your fills and your carches in the U.S., but like as far as if you look at Brazilian volleyball, the carch and fill of Brazil, I think would have to be Ricardo, Emmanuel, and Alison. And I think that's pretty hard to decipher between those three, just because of how storied they all are. So getting to play with Alison is going to be super, super exciting for me because, one, I don't think I've ever had a partner of that caliber as far as like being experienced, having those types of accolades, being proven on the biggest stages. So that's exciting. And then two, just playing with arguably the best blocker of all time. Like he's got to be top 3. You know, you've obviously got Anders, who I think is kind of starting to take that. But like before that, I think there was like a pretty close conversation in between Phil, Ricardo, and Alison.
Yeah, it's kind of a tier of their own.
Yeah, so you look at a Mount Rushmore of blockers and you get to play with one, you're going to take that opportunity.
All due respect, Wyatt.
Yeah. So get to go play the AVPs with Alison this year, so I'm super excited for that. Super excited to learn from somebody who has so much experience in those big matches. Hopefully get to play in a few of those big matches of my own. You know, we talk about wanting to get a little bit better every year. The goal is to try and to be into Sunday with him. That's somebody who's very used to being in Sundays. So, you know, let's see how far we can push into those Sundays.
Yeah.
And then, you know, getting to go down, I think it would be like if you got to play with Phil at the Manhattan Open. It would be like getting to play with Alison in their Brazilian final, and I'm getting to do that in June. So that's an experience that not many people get in their lifetime. So I'm super excited to go down there, experience what like the Brazilian tour is like. They love volleyball, and I'm sure those national tours are very similar to the challengers as far as like crowds come, especially the final, and then. Getting to the opportunity to train with an Olympic team with Evandro and Arthur for about 2 weeks. On top of that is I'm just excited for the experience. I'm not really sure what to expect. I don't want to expect anything. I just want to kind of take that experience in, because you talk about one of like Hermosa is like the Mecca in the U.S. and I don't really know what that would be there, but if you're getting to practice with those 3 athletes, Alison, Evandro, and Arthur, then I feel like that's got to be a similar vibe. So just soaking that whole experience in, I'm super excited for.
Yeah, you should be. I mean, it's awesome that you get. I was thinking about it today. What a cool experience this is going to be. I mean, one, to live, but then to look back on, and you get to do a season with, like you said, Mount Rushmore, one of the greatest blockers, one of the greatest players, period, of all time. And also, Alison is just the sweetest dude.
Oh my gosh, like his energy on the court, I'm like so excited to bounce off of that.
Yeah.
This is no disrespect to Billy Allen, but I think last year, you know, Alison's getting fiery and bringing that Brazilian, and Billy's kind of that calm. So obviously you don't want to get too high and have these big swings, but, you know, I think that whenever you do get to ride that high a little bit, there's some things that you are able to do on the court that you wouldn't usually be able to do. There's just that adrenaline rushing. You just feel it in that moment, and you go for it. And sometimes it turns out really cool. So I'm excited to see how our energy plays off of each other.
Alison, I was laughing so hard. So we played him and Billy in the quarters of Denver last year, and he must have blocked me about 10 times. So they served Jake, probably first 10 balls, Jake Urrutia, and he's just like, high line, cutty, high line. And Billy wasn't chasing him down, so like, all right, let's serve Trav. And I'm just like, swinging Alison. He blocked me like 10 times, and then afterwards he gives me a big hug, and I felt like
so
Vince Vaughn in Wedding Crashers. I'm like, I'm 6'5", but I feel 5'4" in your arms. It's just a giant teddy bear.
He is a teddy bear. You gotta watch your trash talk down there at that tournament, I think.
No, I think the Brazilians will get fired up about it.
That's what I'm saying. But that makes people play. That makes them play better. You learn that in Dubai.
Yeah,
against Pedro.
Yeah, don't wake the beasts. They love that down there.
Yeah,
they made for an entertaining match.
I mean, I feel like this year, on top of like the evolution of my game, I've also learned the evolution of that. So like we talk about those big swings up and down. Just recently, when you're playing with a newer guy like Wyatt, who's a little bit more unproven, he's going to get a lot of serves. So when you're the guy that's the support, like you can't be up and down.
Right.
You have to be like the steady one, going and like doing the steady things to make sure that they don't feel like they have to make up for your errors. So I've learned how to be a little bit more steadying, and how does that look in the game? How does that affect if I get too high or too low? So it's been great just being able to to figure out where's that sweet spot. And, when to fire up. And, we played in this NORCECA qualifier on Tuesday. And it felt like I managed my emotions and the game's emotions like perfectly. We have a game against Bill Klinsky and Chase Frischman, who, I played with Bill. It feels like he was not very happy with the whole partner split up, and it feels like there's still maybe some animosity there at some point. And so he gets super fiery when he plays against me, and I knew that coming in, and I knew he was going to try and silence me, and like that was the goal. But I can play well now without having to be fiery. So I knew going in, I was like, I need to chatter at the beginning of the game because they're going to try and silence me with more of theirs. I'm going to quiet out, and then, which would happen, we absolutely got destroyed the first set, but that was okay because I knew that once they got quiet in the second set, which was like the plan, because like they weren't going to give me any fuel after I got quiet.
Right.
But now I knew, like, okay, going into that game, that's what they wanted. They want me to stay quiet. So I fire back up, and then they're super quiet, and they can't catch that fire back. And we destroy them in the third set. So learning how to manage the emotions and like when to fire up in a game. And a game against Troy and Cody, there's like pivotal moments in a game where it's like you feel like you need to make these plays, you need to execute on the things that you're trying to do, and that like is able to fire you up and fuel you to do better. And thankfully I executed and was able to do those things and fire up in the right moments.
Yeah.
Because if not, like you can hit that big upswing, but then like you start coming down a little bit, and it's tough to maintain that. So understanding within the game, like when to fire up. Like if you watch Trevor play, for the most part, like he knows when to fire up. You watch their game against the Netherlands, and obviously the most insane comeback we've seen in a while in a third set.
Yeah.
But I think Immers can be a little bit fiery and get a little bit on that uptick. And so Trevor, they're coming back 1 point at a time, and Trevor's silent. They tie it up at 14-all, and then it's the first time you hear Trevor go absolutely berserk.
Yep.
And then they make another error, and Trevor's going absolutely insane again. And then the last point happens, and it feels like he just won the Super Bowl. And that's like watching somebody and managing the emotions of a game. Like, I was like, that is like to a T what you want to do. Mm-hmm. He didn't wake the beast too early. He didn't like cause too much. And then like he used the energy of like coming back to like even influence the game more.
Yeah. I think you said something really important, that it's about, you can't stay at a 10 out of 10. And I don't think it's great to, because I think emotionally, I think we're all best as athletes when we're about a 6.5 out of 10. It's that you can briefly get to a 10 out of 10 and then bring yourself back to center, or something bad happens and the mood goes to 4.5, your partner does, and you can bring him back to that 6.5. How have you figured out ways to moderate that? Because I feel like before you just be like at that 10 out of 10 and just burning. And then as soon as you start to come down, it's like, oh, this 8 feels terrible now. And it just,
I think, I would get into this rhythm and this routine of like once I got like a point or two, and like I would start feeling it, and then like I'd speed up everything. Like I would like walk back to the line faster, walk back to serve receive faster, and I think the rhythm and the tempo of which I was playing would change. And instead now I think I keep that the same. The energy can change, and something really cool happens. You make a really good dig, you get a really good block. Maybe it's just a really good side out. Wyatt bounces the ball 45 feet in the air off of the freaking divot. And I'm like, that was sick. And like using that energy for that like 4 or 5 second span, and then that's it. And then like you're back into the routine and back into that rhythm. I think one of the great things that we've worked on this off season is like the rhythm routine of our serves and serving. And what does that look like, and slowing that down. And that's helped out a lot, because I think a lot of the times what happened is like I would, sick dig, put away, I'd rush back to the line and try and serve the ball back into the court as fast as I could the next time. So slowing the game down, and then, you reach that 10 for the rest of that point, and then like maybe you drop down a little bit to like 8 or 9, but like it doesn't feel like as you just exhausted so much energy.
Right.
And so, okay, now I can keep that for a little bit. Okay, now I drop back to a 6.5. We're back into the rhythm of the game, but we just earned 3 points. Mm-hmm. So I can drop back to stable and be normal. Especially, I think, even like the rhythm and tempo of like if we're serving versus receiving. I think, especially with Wyatt and I, we're so good at siding out that it's like that's where we're steady. We're steady every single time. And then like we can be super aggressive and take these risks as a smaller team that we're going to go and try on defense. And so I can try and bump that up a little bit there, but then it's back to 6.5 at side out every single time.
Yep.
Because I think you have to take risks. You have to take chances when you're trying to earn points at a high level. But side out is where you give it back. And if you can do a really good job at not giving it back because you're super steady there. But then, okay, I can handle an error in transition when we're trying to earn a point or we're trying to do something super aggressive. Mm-hmm. And like, I never worry about that. I think it's a tough side out for somebody if we earn a chance in transition.
Oh, for sure.
That's what I say every single time to Wyatt. I'm like, well, we didn't earn the point, but that was a really tough side out for them.
Right. Anytime you have to make someone work very hard for a side out, I think that's a win for you. Even if it's not on the scoreboard, I think the psychological win is good enough.
Yeah. So I think that's how managing the game. Like I feel more in control of that now versus like the game controlling me. Like I feel just like more comfortable with my game, more comfortable with the flow of the game, understanding like big points versus points that aren't as important. I mean, obviously they're all important because they're all worth one, but like there's like certain ones where like if you go back and watch film, you're like, that's a turning point.
Oh, big time.
So it's almost like that point's worth 1.5 because like it influences the next play or the next 3 plays, and understanding where those points in the game are.
Me and when I was commentating with Damian Schumann, we talked about that a lot. It's like those long rallies. They could have gone either way. This team had a great chance, didn't quite take it. Team makes a crazy scoop dig, puts it away. And we're always like, that's worth 1, but watch this. And then it's like a 5-2 run right after that. There's just something about it. And I think that it's plays like that and the ability of Norway and Sweden and the Czechs to keep them worth 1, or if they lose it, or to use it as their superpower and then make it worth something big. I think that's one of the great separators of phenomenal teams and great teams is the ability to have those long rallies and just be like, it's just worth 1 and keep it worth 1.
It's
a hard thing to do.
You're 53% versus 48%?
Yeah.
That you were talking about?
Yeah.
So people who don't know what I'm saying, he's saying last year he was like Anders and Christian earned 53% of all possible points that they played in. And then Try and Kame earned 48%. And that's the difference. 5% of points is the difference between the best in the world and,
and just like I think they're 22 or something.
A good challenger
like a solid team. Yeah. So it's small.
Small margin for error there, yeah.
Yeah. Well, how did you and Alison become a team?
Is actually, so whenever he's here, Pompilio works with him.
Okay.
And last year, at the end of the year, I played like a one-off with Avery and Laguna. And Avery also works with Pomp. And at one of the practices, he was already back in Brazil or whatever. And Pompilio comes up to me. He's like, what are you doing for AVP next year? And I was like, I have no clue. He was like, what do you think about playing with Alison? And I was like, that would be awesome. Like, is that the serious thing right now? I was like, yeah, he said he really likes like your style of your game and like your energy, and he would love to play with you if you can. And I was like, well, yeah, text me about that. Like, and I got his number. I was like, yeah, hand me your number right now. We're gonna get in contact.
Yeah.
And then, we talked a little bit about it, talked a bit about the year, and talk about also just like a very professional guy, like, and has his shit together, and which is awesome because I feel like there's a lot of people in the beach volleyball community who don't. Just like as far as planning goes, and he was like, hey, he sent me this whole schedule of like, hey, this is the date I'm getting in, and this is in like March. This is when I'm getting in for Huntington. This is when I leave. This is when you're going to get to Brazil. This is when you're going to leave. This is when we're going to go play Denver and Wapaka. And then this is when I'm going to leave. And this is when I get back for Manhattan. And then hopefully I just stay for the league.
Yeah.
And he had it month by month written out of exactly like what we were going to do and planning. And I was like, that's impressive because most people in beach volleyball don't do that.
Oh, no, not at all. That's awesome. I'm excited for you for so many reasons. One, the opportunity to play with Alison, which we talked about. But two, the season is so weird, the schedule, because you have this like crazy rush and then there's Huntington. And then for most of the beach volleyball world, in the U.S. anyway, there's nothing till Manhattan. So you have this weird 3.5 month gap. Like me and Try and Kane were laughing because the Ben O'Day and Brad Fuller, the New Zealand guys, they're coming in June, and Kane was like, we should set up some practices with them. And Try was like, so we can get ready for Manhattan 2 months later.
Yeah.
But you have like a full schedule, like you have a season, and it's cool because you have your little American season and international stuff, and then you have an AVP, and then you have this little Brazilian stretch, and then you come back for AVP. That's awesome. It's exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, and it doesn't feel like it feels like there's enough of a break in between. Like we talk about like the burnout and stuff, and like we're trying to take periodic breaks, and it's like there's enough in between all of that where it's like I don't feel like I'm going to be running on low ever. So I'm excited for that as well because I feel like for the most part, most seasons I've played in, that's how it's always felt. Is just like once Chicago comes around, you're just like running on fumes, and you're like, I just got to do the best I can at this tournament, and then it's done.
Yeah.
And then challengers pop up in October and November, and you're like, okay, one more week of training.
Yep.
One more week of training. Okay, I'm finally done.
And then another one pops up, and you're like,
I guess I
because
should
then
do it.
you feel like obligated to play those because like it's a weak field, we can get in, this is what we've been working for, but I just want to sleep and I'm going to play anyway.
Yeah, I think that's another like place where I've started to feel more comfortable this year. You look at like if you don't travel to one of those, so I didn't travel to Xiamen this week, but you look at teams that you're like, this is pretty like comparable, like a Logan and Hagen or a James and Jordan, where I feel like, competing with those teams, if not better than them. And you usually look at it and you're like, I wish I would have went. Whereas this year it's just like, nope, I'm staying my course. Like this is what I planned for myself. And being patient, I think, has been a huge thing. I think it's really tough to be patient in beach volleyball.
Very.
You talk about like, but there's this opportunity. I could go and do it and have this chance. But I think that was a huge part. Like, obviously, I said planning with Alison, which is one of his strong suits. That's one thing that I feel like I have a strong suit in and that advantage in over most of the people is, like, I'm a pretty big planner and look ahead, and this is what the schedule is going to look like, and this is how I want to envision the year going. And I talk constantly, like, I feel like about, okay, what is the next, like, I want to know what the next 3 months is going to look like. And, I talk to Joey and I'm like, okay, like, what do we want this year to look like? What are the breaks going to look like? How are we going to break these things up? And so I feel like that part of my approach to the game is a little bit better than most. So I haven't really been using it to my advantage. So just trusting that, like, what I'm doing is the right thing versus, like, second guessing what I'm doing, because I think that happens a lot, where you're just like, I'm doing it, but I don't really feel like I should be doing this, but I feel like I'm forced to. So I feel really good about that this year, of just like, nope, like, I'm comfortable sitting out. I'm comfortable not going and doing all of these things and switching partners constantly, trying to just get the best opportunity possible. And I think that, I don't know, that's just one lesson that I've definitely taken so far going into this year, and I want to continue to use. Yeah,
the burnout, I think, managing burnout, I think, is probably one of the hardest skills to have, because there's so much FOMO. Right? You're looking at Xiamen, and it's one of the weakest challenge we've had all year, weakest challenge we've had in a while. And it's like, but I wanted to go. But if I went, that would have harmed this week of training, which would have sacrificed these next two tournaments, which then by the end of that, I'd have been burned out. And then Huntington's kind of screwed. and then I finally take a break, and then I kind of hate volleyball for a little bit. It's just the ripple effect of trying to do everything. Mm-hmm. It's so big, and it isn't worth it, I think.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So I think it's smart, and that's why I've been like super big on it. Like, take a week off after play this tournament, take a week off, don't even look at volleyball, go camping.
Yes, we need more of that.
Yeah,
we need to plan a trip.
Yes, yeah, and we actually that was a great recommendation. We had a great day. I mean, we only took one full day off of.
Still,
nothing.
One full day in nature though is like a week off
huge.
of just like taking off of practice, but not getting out in nature.
Yeah. Like we still lifted and stuff, but we didn't touch volleyball, but we just went and I think it's also important to go have fun. Like, I don't know, like, I think that we talked about like all of these things that we do, right? And, okay, like what does my lifting routine look like? What does my nutrition look like? And then you're thinking about all these things constantly. And like, for me, it's like, if I don't do this, like, what is the trade-off of like, okay, I ate really bad this one day, like, how am I going to feel? Or, if I don't work out today, like, is it really going to make this big of a difference in my routine and my planning for this next event? And I think we lose sight of like going and having fun and letting loose in life and choosing those days wisely, obviously, like which ones are you really going to go and do it? But I think it's an important part as an athlete to go and do is to let loose and have fun. And I feel like this year, I mean, I don't know, I feel like we're doing a pretty good job of it. I mean, we did it 75 hard and we're still able to work within the confines of that and still go and let loose and have fun and not feel like we were missing out on anything. So, I don't know.
Maybe get some sidecar donuts and Captain Morgan.
Yeah.
Savvy's still scarred.
It's just a lot to reintroduce in one day, and I was not ready. I was scared. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen to my body if I do this.
So coming up for you guys, so you guys have Cuba and the Dominican, and then is there anything between that and Huntington?
There's not any time for it.
So it's back to back to back.
Train for 6 days with Alison.
Got it. So we got Norseca's in Verdadero, Cuba. Where is it in the Dominican?
It's Juan Dolio Beach, which is like Santo Domingo.
Okay.
Like the resort side of Santo Domingo.
Got it. And then you're playing with Abby in Huntington?
Yeah, we gotta go grind the quali.
Hell yeah.
Gotta go grind the quali. So.
I like that. Yeah. I mean, if you guys look like you have so much fun playing together. That's what I told Evan this morning we were practice. Is like Savvy just looks like she's in a great place with volleyball.
I'm in the best place I've been since probably college.
That's awesome.
I
feel like it's so important to mention. I don't know, like mentioning like volleyball couples too.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not talked about a lot of like, it's stressful on us, I feel like sometimes, but like also having people there that like understand it. And like, I feel like we talk so much about our situations to each other, and, we went through a lot of ups and downs in the first 2 years together, and being able to work through those together and actually understand what's going on is so huge. It's been great. It's been like great having somebody there that can actually like sympathize with you, but also like at times be like, you need to like sack up a little bit here.
Yeah.
Or
I never tell you to sack up. I'm like, you need to relax a little bit. I'm like, you need to like enjoy your life a little bit, which he's doing a much better job at because he's so like, he has his goals and he sets his mind to it, and then no one's getting in the way. And he's like he's just talking about, he's found the balance more of like, okay, volleyball is our life, but there's much, much more. And so he's doing a good job at finding the balance, like, because he's so future focused. Like, these are my goals, and I am like squirrel. Like, I'm like not like that. So, we're so different. We could not be more different. The longer we're together, the more I'm like, like we live in a studio that's this size, and we're smaller. So different. It's probably smaller. I don't know how, like, it's a recipe for disaster, but we've made it work, and I think it's just communication, and I can't imagine not being with someone who plays volleyball. Or being with someone who doesn't play volleyball, I guess.
Well, I think it'd be hard, especially like at your guys' stage, because no one outside of volleyball would get it.
No.
You're going where?
Yeah.
For what? but you're going to lose money, and that's your job? Yeah. How do I explain this?
You don't. Trust me. Yeah.
No, the empathy, because that's how it was with me and Delaney. The only tricky part, and Delaney became a master at this after a while. She's like, do you want to talk about your match? Or do you want to talk about it? And then I'll nod, smile, and agree, and then we'll have dinner.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you can't watch film with your couple, with your partner, unless it's like, I want Coach D right now.
Yeah.
And then later we'll get Wifey D.
Yeah.
I feel like setting like what that is, like we'll talk, because there'll be like certain times where it's a situation and you're like, do you want advice or do you just want me to listen?
Yeah.
Do you want me to talk to you after your loss, or do you literally? There was one. It was pretty. It was like I felt like such an asshole. It was, when was it? It was
the Maldives.
It was Guadalajara.
It was recent.
It was Guadalajara, and we lost. And she like tried to talk to me.
Oh no! I said he was so mad they lost in the qualifier, and I said, do you need some space right now? And he said. Or is that how I worded it? I worded it very cautious. I'm like, do you want to talk right now, or do you need a second? And he's like, yeah. Like he didn't even.
I literally was like,
he shoulder checked me as he walked past.
I was like beelining off the court, and I was like, and she's like, do you want to talk right now? I was like, nope, and just kept walking.
And Timmy looked at me like, oh my gosh, and I was like. I said, hey, I asked. I can't be mad because he took. It's not like I went in for a hug. I knew he was gonna be pissed. I'm like. I came in very cautious. I'm like, do you want to talk right now?
Yep.
Nope, not at all. He did one to me in the Maldives where I didn't specify. I just want you to listen. And I'm like, just so, because we didn't qualify. We ended up getting the lucky loser. And he goes, you are absolutely terrible hitting out of the middle. You should never attack from out of the middle ever again. And I was like, this isn't just the last thing I wanted to hear right now. But it's like, we've gotten so much better. I think he'll ask, like, because I always come to him, like, wanting to talk. Right. He's like, okay, what do you want? And for him, I just wait for him. Like, I don't even ask. Usually I don't even ask because usually he wants to, it depends on the type of loss.
But it's like pretty solid. Like, it's always like, pretty short period of time. I think I learned like a lesson pretty early in life from, I don't even know where now, but like I always like tell myself now, you get 5 minutes to complain about it, and then after those 5 minutes, like you've got to figure out how to move on and be better from it. Sometimes it's like 10 to 15 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think 15 is probably like my cap of like, all right, like I'm good now. I can move on, like, this is what needs to happen. But, like, sometimes you just got to let it soak in and piss you off.
Yep. Sometimes you got to sit in it, and it's motivating. You just got to, like, bask in the suck.
Yep.
And then you come back, and then you can just remember that feeling at training for the next 2 weeks, and it's still tangible, and it fires you up.
Yeah.
Sitting on a flight after you lose in the first or second round of a qualifier.
Oh, it's the worst.
Especially when it's like halfway across the world, you're just like, you're just sitting in it for sometimes like 16 hours and just like,
Yeah. I think for me, like this is another tough part about being a couple that's, especially doing all these internationals, like qualifiers together, is like when one person qualifies and the other person doesn't, or like one person just crushing and the other person's not. And I think that's been something that's actually helped me after losses is like, all right, I just lost. I had my 10 minutes and now I'm going to be the best server. I'm going to help him warm up and I'm going to be the best cheerleader ever. And like my week, like all I care about now is that he qualifies. And I think that's such it's really hard. Like, I'll be honest, like it's really hard when you suck and your partner's doing well. Like for some reason, it's still hard to like go, like, cause you don't want to be, a lot of times you don't even want to be at the tournament. I think that's the biggest thing. Like you want them to do well, but you don't want to be there. Like sometimes you lose and you're embarrassed. You're like, I don't want to be here anymore. But I think that's something that we've kind of come a long way with, is like just being number one fan for each other and being that support system. Because it means a lot, especially when you're there serving each other, helping each other warm up. Like he's kind of become almost like a coach to me. Like I don't coach him really ever. But he's watched enough of the women's game where he can kind of coach me, and we've gone to a really good place where like I now ask him for like advice on like what did you see, and he's gotten so good at telling me in a very like he knows I'm sensitive, so like timing.
Don't ever do that again.
Don't ever do that. Yeah. He's just gotten better. And so like in Guadalajara, when he was warming us up for our first game in pool, it was great because he was like, hey, like you're doing this. I'm like, okay, like things I don't, like you're early on your approach or whatever. And so we've come a really long way with that. Like now I look at him like for advice more. I'm like, okay, like I trust his judgment, and he's watched me play so much. And it's exciting. It's definitely been a process, and there's never been a part of it where it's been like, this is too unmanageable. Like not one time has it been like, this is not going to work because of, all the volleyball stuff at all. Like that's never even been a thought, but it does, like, it takes time, and we're in a really, really good spot. And I think that just comes with practice though.
Oh yeah. No, only time and saying the wrong thing, the wrong time, one too many times. Yep. That's the only way you learn.
Yep. Yep. You just got to communicate. That's the most important thing.
Well, I'm excited for you both. Sav,
thanks, Trav.
You look super happy.
So I'm very happy.
I've seen you in a good place.
Thank you.
Ev, you're rejuvenated, fired up, ready to go. Got a great partner coming in. Got a great partner now. With Wyatt. And
morale is high. Morale is high for the team right now.
Super high.
I have to say, like, morale too. Like at practice, like you keep that morale high no matter. You're just very good at that.
How could morale be low, Trav? Like it just can't.
I know. It's pretty impossible. But like, it's one thing that I like really appreciate, because it's like, there's days where like you come in and you're just like like a Friday after a long week. And you're just like, I am dead. And I don't want to be at practice. I want to be in bed asleep because I'm just so tired. Or, like in Guadalajara, whenever it was like, oh man, we just played in a tournament and we're playing in a tournament 4 days later.
Right.
Like that day where it was just like us at practice, it was like so easy to like bounce back up and feel good about like what we were doing versus like you feel like a little burnt out.
Right.
And like, oh man, I don't know how we're going to compete tomorrow. It didn't feel like that going into the tournament, because I think like you were so good at like keeping it, like you keep like practice light as far as like the energy, like it's just light and fun, and then I don't know. It's really
try
good.
to. It's really good. I'm trying to be the director of morale.
You're good when Joey Keener is like, I want you working with Travis, because Joey doesn't trust anybody, and so when he's like, all right, I trust Travis. He's the right guy.
Morale guy, Joey Keener. Anytime me and Joe have the worst phone schedules possible, because when I'm free, he's got something, and when he's free, I've got something. But whenever me and Joe get on the phone, oh man, I can't stop.
It's the best hour ever.
Oh, it's the greatest. Maybe two. It's like I can't get Joe off the phone, and I don't want him off the phone.
No, you don't want to hang up. You're like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, we talked about it yesterday, but Joey Keener's got to be on the podcast. It's coming up.
We'll figure out a time. I'm trying to figure out what gets referenced more: The Confident Mind or Joey Keener. And it's The Confident Mind's got 4 episodes in a row where it's come up.
Yeah.
And Keener's on, I think he's on 2 straight now.
Confident Mind's a little more universal.
Yeah, The Confident Mind you can buy on Amazon. You can get it shipped. You cannot buy a Joey Keener.
Joey Keener.
Yeah.
Liz Keener's got him on a tight leash over there.
Liz has got him.
Liz has got him dialed over there.
We're working on getting them out here.
Let's get them out.
Love them. I love them both.
Yeah.
Good people.
Well, Ev, where can people follow along your journey?
Yeah, I'd say the main place is Instagram at Evan Cory Volley. SANDCAST YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of live streams. Trav's been gracious enough as a coach to let the viewers watch my games whenever they're not streamed anywhere. So if it's not Volleyball World on VBTV, and who knows what the AVP is going to do, so possibly even AVP games could be on there. But if it's not one of those main streams, Norseca's, hopefully Cuba has good enough service. Probably won't.
Wouldn't bank on it. That might be a film and put it up later.
Yeah. You can watch the replay on SANDCAST. So that's where I'm trying to stream most of my games right now. And I don't really, I guess Facebook. You just add me as a friend. I feel like a lot of like SOB people and stuff like that are
that's
doing
Facebook
that.
crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right on.
That's pretty much it. And then big sponsor shout outs for
whatever you gotta drop.
White Sands, Cory down in Louisiana.
Cory Seager. Absolute gem of a human being.
Gem of a person. If it wasn't for him and his support, I wouldn't even be be able to play volleyball professionally. So really big shout out to him. Since day one, always been huge supporter. A new guy here, Ion Bottles. So, it's not really all interfering with YK, because what you do is
we're just putting YK
put your
on
YK,
steroids.
In this.
On steroids.
And then, we talk about the health and nutrition of things. Hydrogen water, it's all the new craze. If you haven't done it yet, you need to go for it and get yourself an Ion bottle. Makes a little clicky noise, lights up nice and blue. And then 10 minutes later, you've got some water that helps with inflammation and increases your energy.
There you go.
And then, the thing that makes Evan, the blue nose, Zinca sunscreen.
Perfect. So have you got any sponsors to drop? Might as well.
Centerpoint Securities. Life savers. They like Cory Seager, they make my career possible. I know this is dropping after, but they're kind of helping run the whole Miles Pershing and Andy Benish are doing a scrimmage against Italy down in San Diego. Centerpoint's kind of running the whole thing, and so that'll be a super cool opportunity. But yeah, they're so supportive of me. And then Oakley, I never wore sunglasses until I was sponsored by Oakley, and they've probably saved my eyes for sure, because I was bad with the sunglasses. So definitely Oakley. And then Root and Fruit Nutrition, like you already mentioned, she's been amazing. For him, it was more physically. For me, mentally. Like, we did the gene testing, and then I also did our neurotransmitter and hormone test with her. I'm gonna post a little testimonial for her on Instagram coming up, but just her encouragement with the testing. And then it's one thing to get testing done, and then you look at the results and you're like, I have no idea what this means. She breaks it all down for you and then gives you solutions it's all diet or supplement based, which is what I wanted. I wanted to go the natural route. There's nothing wrong with taking a daily medication for anxiety and stuff, but that's just, I wanted to avoid that if possible. And she's made that possible. And it's absolutely been game changing. I mean, if you ask him where I was a year ago, I was in a deep, dark hole. So
talk about, mentally in a good place. It's not just like happy. It's like life. I feel like last year for her as well is pretty tough. A lot of ups and downs, a lot of crazy things. And yeah. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah. It's crazy what your diet can do for you.
Oh, it's
just
wild.
Your diet.
Yeah.
Diet and sleep.
It's nuts.
And then who you surround yourself with. There's a lot of things, but all easy things, like sleep a little more, eat well, go outside, be with good people. It's not that hard. Do what you love.
Yeah,
Simple.
Put down the phone.
Put down the freaking phone.
Good to go.
Yeah.
So in Norway, they just banned smartphones from high schools.
Did you see
that they should.
In France that they banned iPhone 12s?
No.
Yes, because it gives off a certain amount of radiation, and so that they ban them from the country.
No shit.
So if you're traveling to Paris and you have an iPhone 12, you should figure something out.
Figure it out.
Watch out.
Just get rid of the phones.
Well, I love you both.
Love you,
Thanks for coming on. Sav, 2 in a row. I love it.
Famous.
You're back.
The SANDCAST girl. You're the SANDCAST girl. I'm like, yes, I'm famous.
Good luck in Cuba. Enjoy.
Thanks.
Take lots of pictures.
Oh, yeah. We're stoked.
Bring home some medals. And, I'll probably see you, Huntington, I guess.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Trav.